Okay.
All right. So, I guess I'll do some kind of intro. Hello, everyone. This is a new thing that I'm going to try, and I hope to do it again. Who knows if it'll happen again? So I've referred to this guy a lot in my videos, formerly referred to as my buddy. He doesn't know this. He doesn't know this. This is his first time knowing this, but.
Yeah.
His name is Caleb, and I've never said my name. My name is John. So we're gonna have to do this now because we're actually talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it's not just me in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So this is a show we like to call
Shazam or Shanope.
which doesn't make any sense.
Oh no, it makes sense. The movie will either be decided as Shazam or Shanope, a success or a flop.
I'm not good at being one or the other though. A lot of the time, especially not to spoil anything, but especially for this movie, I don't think this movie is either Shazam or Shanope. To be honest,
It's Shamaybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a third option.
There's a third option.
Even if it's like a 70-30 mix, I mean, there's still decidable ground here overall. Overall, if it was a Shanopeable movie.
Well, we'll decide if it was even a
decide.
7:30 mix.
But
okay,
start us off.
So I thought we'd start our review of Black Adam, in case it wasn't clear already. Mr. Black Adam, played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which, oh boy,
The whole
I feel sad when I think about Dwayne Johnson, just because.
the Samoa tattoo is not visible for once.
Well, he's supposed to be what? He's supposed to be. What is even the place? Where are they at in this movie? What? It's somewhere in like Egypt-ish.
Yeah, so like Northern Africa, like the I don't know, it was supposed to be some like ancient civilization that was way back in like, ancient times, and
they really let you know that it was ancient times and things were bad, with copious amounts of young boy saying things to you about this grandiose civilization.
Yeah.
Which right off the bat I was like,
Yeah.
I don't mind big movies that create this big scope and everything and all that sort of thing, but also when you start your movie with
all the
a really
monologuing.
long amount of exposition. I mean, Lord of the Rings does it, and I don't complain.
Yeah.
So you know what? I was just like, this might not bode well. I was like, this is okay that he's just dumping all of this stuff and all this sort of thing.
Right.
But also, it doesn't really bode well. But back to what you were saying about where even is this place?
Had a very similar atmosphere to the movie 10,000 BC. If you've ever seen it, looked a lot like that. So this ancient civilization they were in.
Yeah, actually, I mean, they basically go back to 10,000 BC
Pretty
in the
much.
history of the movie.
In the history of the movie. So ancient place. Bad guy gets magic metal and says, "I'm gonna make a demon crown." Right? Interesting choice.
Yeah, I mean, I know, right?
I mean, if you get an ancient civilization, I mean, it's almost hand in hand that there's dark magic play involved, because I guess that's an ancient thing.
X-Men Apocalypse.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, dude makes demon crown, goes down to hell, gets like the 9 lieutenants of hell.
Oh yeah.
To recruit into the crown.
That was pretty cool.
That was neat.
I liked the way that all looked.
It was a cool visual.
Especially towards the end. Again, we're gonna try not to spoil things until later on.
There's spoilers
later on in the movie, especially the cameo that everyone knows about already. That doesn't really matter. I
already forgot. No, I didn't. I didn't.
We watched this a little bit ago.
It's been a second. It's been a few days.
Yeah, we're gonna try not to spoil like big plot points.
Actually,
until later. It was almost a week ago.
Oh yeah.
No, it was exactly a week ago.
Exactly a week ago.
We probably should cut this out. We shouldn't.
No,
we shouldn't.
No, this is valuable. This means
we
we're
shouldn't
unbiased.
incriminate ourselves that we're doing this on a week's separation.
I mean, there's been worse.
And we've had time to think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been formulating our thoughts carefully.
That's what he said when when we left the theater. He was like, you know what? Ruminate over it a little bit and get back to me.
It's like a fine wine. These things
Yeah,
get better with
exactly.
time.
Exactly.
So this is weak aged knowledge.
Yes.
So okay. So yeah. So he makes the crown, and then basically enslaves his people to go mine more of this metal, and then it preludes to Hero Child,
Right.
who was like Luke in episode 4. There must be something more, starting off in the sunset.
Whose dad's face is conspicuously
concealed.
Concealed. Yes.
And this person is not overly buff, so it does hide it.
Whoa. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
I was like,
or
is
anything.
this Dwayne Johnson? What's going on? His dad looks a lot like him.
So, Hero Child, basically, they find a chunk of this metal, right? They found a piece.
In the tradition of unobtainium and stuff of that nature, it's called it's not, what is it called?
I don't remember. Magic metal.
It's blue.
It's blue.
It's like indestructibium or something.
No.
It's not that, but it's like
like terminium or something like that. Anyways,
I have a mirror right above me. Do you see that? So I can just look.
So
up. Is my hair okay?
Basically, this child steals the chunk of metal, runs to the top of the mountain, shoves a guard off the ledge, and then does a whole triangle pose.
Isn't that
Illuminati confirmed?
Yeah.
Whole civilization, because they all start doing it back. Everybody. So basically, because of that, child gets sentenced to death. So then it just cuts.
Yes.
And then it cuts.
And then we've got the Council of Wizards from Shazam, and it was great to see Jamon Hasu back as the main wizard, and they cut through it, and it's just Shazam, and he's out, and now he's the Rock, and we go to the modern day, and this is where we meet who I think are like the problematic characters of the film. Yeah. So I liked the Justice Society. I liked all of them. There's Hawkman and there's Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate.
What I did not appreciate with the Justice Society, it was cool. It was cool. Don't get me wrong, very neat. Mm-hmm. Very cool spin on Hawkman. Really liked his entrance. Really happy to see Atom Smasher. Very cool. Very neat OG comic character. Not usually widely recognized. Anyhow.
That's something I really liked about this, especially. It's like the characters you wouldn't expect to find. But really well presented.
But what I didn't like was with the Justice Society, they all assemble over at Hawkman's mansion. Mm-hmm. And then they hop in his jet and fly away. It was such a blatant copy of X-Men Mansion, and then the jet, the whole.
Yeah, you said that, didn't you?
Because legit, they meet up at Hawkman's mansion, aka X-Men, the school, the academy. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They jump in the jet. Jets both look nearly the same.
And then there's this janky, weird with Hawkman's the garden just unfolds.
Hawkman's garden, it just like. It's like it slides back in like launch door section.
It gets up and it walks off.
And like in X-Men, when the basketball courts fold away and they launch out, it's the same thing. So that
there are bugs up here.
Was a little bit could have been better. It was a little bit copied, which I noticed, and if I noticed, other people probably did too. Now, not saying it wasn't cool. Obviously, it was cool. But it was lazy.
So I guess that can take us into something I wanted to talk about, which I think we should talk about the characters. We're gonna start. We're
Okay.
gonna start with characters, and there are three main things I want to talk about. And I think we're starting with the Justice Society, and I think honestly, in both a character development sense as well as just character in general, likability, or not even likability, just like cool factor even.
Right.
The Justice Society, all the four of them, were more interesting, at least to me. In fact, they were the ones that sort of made me excited about the film. When I saw Atom Smasher run through the streets in the trailer and all that, and especially Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, that's what got me excited. Not The Rock, unfortunately. But then we also have to talk about the man himself, Black Adam.
I was pretty excited about The Rock. I was drinking a Moa when I was watching that.
Yeah,
gotta support The Rock.
I don't. I don't know. He's just.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. And last and definitely least, there are the human characters, who.
Yeah.
Why are the? See. Okay.
The problem characters.
Yeah, and
There are 4 of them.
Yeah, well, 4 including
The
villain of the piece, who it's technically a twist villain, and also villain question mark.
The villain quotations asterisks.
Because something interesting that they do in this film is it's more so Black Adam is a anti-hero in the comics, right?
Which that's frustrating in itself. They won't make villain movies anymore. It's got to be anti-hero because there's got to be some justification or some happiness about it.
Did they ever make villain movies?
That's the thing, is they never will.
They made Joker.
But that's like
what if Joker was a victim of society?
But that's what I'm saying, right? It's like Venom is supposed to be a villain. He's not supposed to be an anti-hero. Black Adam is supposed to be a villain, not an anti-hero.
Look.
The Suicide Squad are supposed to be villains, not anti-heroes.
No,
More on par. You see what I'm saying. Continue, though, with your characters.
So Black Adam is an anti-hero, right? And so they do a little bit of exploration of what is a hero, what isn't a hero, and that sort of thing. That's where the main dynamic of antagonist-protagonist comes from with Hawkman and Black Adam. That's where the main conflict comes from.
Right.
Which was pretty good, I thought.
Hawkman's got the classical hero act down, while Black Adam has the vigilante esque heroing down, like Arrow from Arrow.
See, I thought Hawkman and Dr. Fate were the most compelling characters in the film. Yeah. And even their dynamic together was probably the most dynamic relationship in the film. Because everything else was just either bland or just kind of boring or been done before.
Yeah.
I liked how Hawkman wasn't exactly a tried and true like a Superman-esque character. He was he was very, very hard as nails, that sort of thing.
Very aggressive, very determined, very will-powered.
Right. And that sort of pushed him into the wrong a little bit. So you had 2 guys who were both wrong and both right in different ways.
At the same time.
But do they ever reconcile to each other? Yeah, they kind of do.
At the end, they definitely do. Because
kind of.
At one point, spoiler. Ooh.
Kind of.
But Black Adam, literally, they talk it out.
Right.
Black Adam, reveals to him something we'll get to later, and he surrenders. And he says the word.
Oh, right.
And he surrenders.
Right.
So they do come to an understanding at one point.
That's true. Okay, I didn't even think about that.
And then later on, they were like, "Oh no, we do need him." And so then they jailbreak him almost like 2 hours later.
That's fine. And in fact, that's pretty good. But unfortunately, the dialogue that Hawkman sort of says, he's basically doing Jim Gordon's speech from The Dark Knight.
Pretty much.
We need the dark, because he needs to be the guy who plunges his hands into the muck or whatever. He does basically that speech, but it just didn't seem right. like it didn't seem very compelling. He wasn't making the point very strong.
Right.
It almost is like Black Adam came around to Hawkman's position, but Hawkman didn't really come around to Black Adam genuinely. He only did it just like a lip service because they aren't. It seems like they don't know what to do with the whole vigilante thing.
So in this ancient city, modern day, right? So it's the same place, just like 2,000 years later,
something like that.
Something
maybe
like that.
4,000.
Anyways, but there's military occupation in this city. It's gridlocked, checkpoints, all that jazz. They're looking for. So there's basically four main characters. There's the lady, her brother, her son, and then her coworker, and so Ishmael. So at one point, it's they go. The lady figures out where the demon crown is, right? Because the military occupation wants to get their hands on it. So they go, she and her brother and the kid, they all go get it first. Well, not the kid yet. He wasn't with them. Anyways, but they go. He wasn't with them when they went and first got the crown.
Oh, no, they
yeah. So basically, if they find the crown, she grabs it. Then task force of militia comes in and it's like, give it up. And she was like, no. And then they killed one guy. They were about to kill her brother.
Oh, right.
And so she slid back and she magically found the stone tablet with the lightning bolt carved into it and did the chant or whatever and released Black Adam, and Black Adam went ham on the militia people, killing them.
And this is where, so when Black Adam first came out and she said Shazam, and Black Adam, he sees that she's in trouble because she's like in some sort of bind, and he like zips over and he dispatches the guy who's there. And I thought that there was going to be this sort of dynamic where he's like her indestructible defender, silent, and he's not always there, but he'll always be there. I'm sure there are some comparisons to be made there, but like I was really excited about that aspect, that dynamic, and I was like, oh, this could be really interesting. Yeah. It's a great way to handle the completely indestructible and unstoppable character. I feel, to have them at the to be the defender or whatever it is, but unfortunately,
that's not how that works.
That's not how it went. Like immediately following, when he wakes up in their apartment, he just starts being all ornery and all this sort of thing. And also, at that moment, the dynamic starts between him and the kid.
Yeah.
Which does not work. Categorically, does not work. They did it so much better in Shazam. Yeah. It's literally just the kid from Shazam. Because he's a comic book fan, and he's like, you've got power! And he's like, you're indestructible! You have to have a cool name! And you have to have a catchphrase!
Tell him the Man in Black sent you.
See,
right, and
that's getting into the problems with Black Adam as a character, too.
He's laying in the kid, he's like passed out on the kid's bed, comes to, and there's all sorts of Batman and Superman and the Flash posters, action figures, comic books everywhere, in which The Rock just busts a hole through the wall and was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Great. And then also, very important note, I remember the name of the metal. It's called Eternium.
Eternium! Nice. So, I'm so glad
and the crown was made from like pure Eternium. That's why it was so strong. Mm-hmm. And this metal contained magic. That's why it was so valuable. Annoyed me to no end with this kid. They lived in like a high-rise apartment complex type thing, low budget, low end. And they were up on the floor, so whenever they'd be going down the stairs, this kid, one of his staples of like his characters, he was a
skateboarder. So cool.
He had the skateboard,
So cool.
And whenever there'd be a landing, freaking 6 foot long, if that, he skateboarded down and then picked it back up, walked down the stairs, and then and it was
a clunky scene to begin
it
with,
was
where
just very clunky.
Black Adam is going down.
He did the whole slow version of the Dark Knight going down, through the stairwell, and this kid was following him like, but you have to be good, but you have to be a hero, but you have to do this. You have to have a catchphrase. Come on, Death Adam. Yeah, but in the movie, his name was Death Adam, which cooler.
Kind of sounded like they were always saying Teth.
Teth,
which I didn't.
Come on, Teth Adam.
I guess it's Death Adam.
It's like Mike Tyson's lisp.
Yeah,
Teth Adam.
So that gets into the problem with Black Adam as a character, is that he's bland.
He's
boring.
He is boring kind of at the beginning.
No, he's boring the whole time.
Well, yeah, and he's...
what a waste of The Rock. The Rock's the guy who's behind all this. He's like, I love Black Adam. We're going to do Black Adam, and this is great, and I'm so excited to be here, and blah, blah, blah. But in the movie, he's dry as a bone.
He tried to play this extremely reserved, serious character, which... okay, Mr. like all action, fast move, but can't read them. But it came out as kind of bland.
But here's the thing,
right? And
it was okay, but you make that guy your main character, it just doesn't work.
That's when it was hard also to pinpoint who's the main character.
Exactly.
Of this movie. Who is the main character? Because it's like you have this cluster of the four human characters. Black Adam and the Justice Society. And then there's Society.
And we already said that Hawkman was like one of the most fleshed out characters.
Yeah.
And so it gets
Dr. Fate.
Right.
And Dr. Fate. Now, we have to talk about the big issue at hand. The women. She followed Death Adam, Black Adam, The Rock, around like a cheerleader and was constantly talking to the Justice Society about like, he's our city's hero. Yeah. We need him. So and she had a valid point at one point. It was like military occupied city, and they were never there. But suddenly Black Adam shows up, and then they're there, and then they're trying to stop him, and she's like, he's helping us. So in that regard, she was totally right.
And that's really the main.
That was like the main note of the movie was like the savior, the champion of the people.
But that was the main utility. I want to say utility, but there's a better word. That was the main purpose of those three guys. It's sort of the culture war. And the whole sort of like the oppression sort of thing.
Right.
That was the angle they were trying to take.
Right.
But I feel like when you put like your Justice Society and you put your all that sort of thing, just keep it with them.
Right.
I don't know.
So
it kind of worked on a general level though.
Yeah. So I'd like to, and then the brother character, he was kind of forgettable. He
had the one funny line that I actually thought was funny.
He was like the comic relief type character, which I get it, understood, needed, but at the same time, like he didn't do much else.
Yeah.
It's
hard to keep your characters relevant when you have so many of them.
And going into the Justice Society, Dr. Fate. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Great character. Very Jean-Luc Picard.
Excellent design
vibes.
as well. So good.
And then Hawkman, awesome gladiator warrior, had a really cool mace, very very visually cool armor. How that all worked with his wings and his chest piece, all that was spectacular.
Visually, the costumes were what drew me in and were incredible.
And so the other two characters of the Justice Society, so Atom Smasher, really cool suit, very very cool character to pick because very not as known character.
Absolutely.
Because he gets shadowed by the Atom a lot, which is brother, I believe.
And just real quick, that was something that appealed to me as well, that these are sort of side characters. Like Hawkman, no one ever hears about Hawkman.
Yeah, it's always you always hear about Hawkwoman because she's part of the Seven Justice League, right? She's like one of the main members. So you always hear about her more, and then Hawkman is always in like TV shows, or the comics is always a little bit more of a side character. So it's very cool to see him in the spotlight this time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Atom Smasher was really he was great. The suit, very modern take, very it acclimated well from his old suit.
And that's something I liked as well, is that these suits, they looked authentic to the comic book origins, but they really worked in live action.
Took a modern twist.
It was great.
Like with Deadpool's suit, very very just great modern take, good editing, effects to make it happen. But what I felt was lacking a little bit with Adam Smasher's character was he's very simple. He wasn't like overly smart. He was more of a eyes wide open character, very appreciative of the simple things of humanity, type thing.
The Flash,
which
sort of like,
and
the kid. He's the
kid. And I get that, but he's in the movie. He's very green, very rookie, very new, and he fumbles a lot, it's kind of it's lessons to him, but at the same time that was a lot of his character, was him kind of fumbling, and they had this bit with Hawkman where it's like he would fumble something, like I think he dropped a statue or something at one point.
Destroyed a statue,
and Hawkman was like, you and me, later on, or whatever, to that effect. And they did that a few times. And it was funny the first time, like, aha, but the other times it's kind of like, okay, and so.
And that was an underlying thing about the movie, because it's this big, grand, epic, mythic sort of film, and sort of like the Zack Snyder's Justice League, like this enormous scale, enormous everything. But they kept trying to just shoehorn all the quips and the jabs and all of this sort of thing that you get from your typical action movie, and on multiple levels, it just didn't work. On that level you just said, it really kind of undermined Adam Smasher and all that sort of thing. And then with the human side characters, it just kind of just fell flat. With the kid, we already discussed that.
Right.
And then the comic relief guy, who, to be fair, had the one line that I laughed at. I'll only die by electricity. So he smashes all the what are they?
Like the demon skeletons. Demon skeletons.
Demon skeleton zombie guys.
Yeah.
And so, but the big offender is Black Adam, who is the strong, silent, the very serious.
What should have been the guardian angel to the woman.
Right, exactly. He should have been this sort of like, just like sort of outside everything.
But then they gave him humor lines.
Right.
And it did not work right, because then suddenly he seemed almost clueless.
Yeah,
dare I say?
Honestly, in those moments,
he seemed very just like
it really took the wind out of anything he had.
Yeah,
and especially his dynamic with the kid, which they were trying to do the whole Shazam thing again, but with Shazam, he's all goofy and they have just a great chemistry, a great dynamic because they're both kids. But with him, he's just like all down all the time, and it just doesn't gel.
And so then the fourth character of the Justice Society was Cyclone. So her main powers basically are, she's got like really high IQ, like 170, I believe is what they said. So she's very very smart, genius. And then she's got like nanobot wind powers, like some like rapey scientist dude kidnapped her and injected her with nanobots, and now she's got wind powers.
I was hoping you wouldn't say rapey again.
I'm gonna say rapey. Rapey.
Okay. Keep going. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you.
So,
Nanobot.
So yeah, but what? Very cool character. I enjoyed her a lot. She was very
great design.
Very
and
funny, not like dumb. She had a very but.
What they did with the character was good. What little they did.
Right, but what was very lacking was her powers. Like, in the big scenes where they'd be fighting and they were all, doing the really cool epic, scenes as far as like, Dr. Fate is doing like a spell.
Oh, Dr. Fate stuff.
So cool. And Hawkman's flying in with his mace.
Yeah.
And Adam Smasher was humongous and friggin' punching things. Right? And then she was kind of floating around like, wind, and it was like...
Yeah, she had that moment where she, like, put all the spikes in the...
Next to, like, trapping him like a cage. She had, like, she put, like, a bunch of, like, water pipes trapping Black Adam.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was trapping Black Adam, like, containing him. Like, I was gonna do anything. But, but it wasn't anything amazing. It was what, but overall,
Cool slow-mo moment.
she was a cool character, cool character. Don't really have any complaints. So speaking of characters, the non-existent villain.
Yes. So that was one of the big things, which we touched on, the fact that the main what's the word? The main focus of the film was sort of the dynamic between Black Adam and Hawkman,
right?
And also kind of connected with the savior mentality of
the champion,
the champion. I'm sorry, yes, champion. The champion mentality and how all of those things sort of gel, which they didn't really do it quite well. There's some stuff there,
Yeah,
there's some good stuff there, but it
got a little choppy.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Especially towards the end. But yes, the big problem is, so spoilers from here. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about non-spoiler stuff after this, but you know what? We don't care about structuring or anything like that.
If you were that torn up about it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to spoil the fact that Ishmael is the villain because he looks exactly like the guy from the olden days.
Plot twist.
Who saw that coming?
Plot twist, he's the great-grandson.
Yeah,
great-great-great-grandson.
Great-grandson. There was only two people 1,000 years. I'm sorry.
Edit that right there.
Okay. Yeah, he's the grandson.
He's like the descendant. Great descendant, the king dude who made the demon crown in the first place was his ancestor.
And honestly, I care not a bit that his only motivation was I want to rule the world. Who cares?
It was weak.
Yeah, it was very weak. He was weak, but the problem is he drops out of the movie for like an hour, then comes back in the end.
And at some point, he's like talking to his man. He's like, I am the bad guy. He's like, why aren't you getting this done? I'll do it myself. Blah. And it's like, what?
Yeah. He was like, did you ever see the Aladdin remake?
I did.
You know how weird the Jafar guy was?
Yeah.
He kind of reminded me of him.
He was kind of like that, honestly.
He was like inconsequential. They should have made him they should have gone in like Antonio Banderas, made him like a really like it flamboyant, because at least you'd have some fun with the character, rather than just being a wuss, and there's no point to it.
But so then he gets his hands on the crown after he holds the kid hostage. So then he gets the demon crown and he puts it on, and he's like, aha.
Quick note,
for the third
that
time.
was one of my favorite parts. We were talking about the visuals of like that demon council.
The visuals.
It had like this weird upside down, but not quite upside down, like version of
like
hell with
inverted,
like with really big like demon stuff and like it
lava and
it
cliffs.
looked really great.
It was
for those couple seconds it was on screen.
Yeah, which is all it needed, because then it had that veil of like mystery, or it wasn't a main. It was not a main location in the movie. Yeah. It was like
it gave it a sort of a power. Yeah,
it was in a sense kind of like how in like the Shazam when they teleported through the room door. It was like if that would have been not a main location, it would have been akin to that.
Yeah.
So how it was for the main villain in Shazam, where he got into that room once as a kid and he was searching for it ever since, it was akin to that.
But this leads us into one of the most terrible things in the film, which I don't know what you thought. I didn't mention this to you. The design of his final form, when he puts on that crown and they give him all the powers, and he becomes a big demon pentagram on the chest man.
Literally, it basically became Lucifer, essentially.
He looked awful.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about, Steppenwolf was bad, and worse than this guy, for sure. But, like, they're close to each other on levels.
Super close.
Honestly, I hated it.
Yeah, he was very... If you want to know what he looks like the second form of Satan in Broforce. That's what he looks like. Because the second form of Broforce Satan was all buff and had the pentagram, all that jazz. They like copied him. it was, yeah, he was very just generic.
Yeah,
Generic.
that's really it.
The
It's like
man
they
went-
ran out of design energy with all the great designs
The
of all
man
the
went and got
Justice
a
Society.
Spirit of Halloween costume pack and put it on. That's what it was.
Yeah,
and then he
shooting
went,
lava fire from his chest and all that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm demon now. I've got fire powers.
But on that note, I keep mentioning that the rest of the film, though, I think looks really great.
But the non-existent villain. They were trying to paint Black Adam as the anti-hero villain for some of it because, oh my gosh, he kills people as a bad guy.
Yeah.
But then they kind of get a workaround with it, right? Okay, so
well, you gotta have that in where your two good guys are
Right,
sort
so-
of on the outs.
so
You have to
then-
have your third party,
so
no
right,
matter
yep.
how insignificant.
right. But then Ishmael comes along and is like Mighty Morphin Satan time, and he goes into action. And the fight scenes weren't really all that great with him.
Well,
They were
I
all,
liked.
they were all right, but they just weren't like as memorable as some of the others.
I liked the moment with Dr. Fate. But
Dr.
we need
Fate's
to
in-
talk about this.
Right.
Because, okay, here's a problem I found with the movie. So, there's a translation on the crown. So this is the villain's plan. To get the crown, to become big demon guy, to get all the power. It's basic as heck. But on the crown is said... from life comes death or something like that. And everyone's like, life, you live and then you die. And then later on in the movie, it's revealed, oh no, mirrors.
You have to mirror it.
And it says, death is life. Ah, that's what he's doing. He's going to die.
Oh crap! And then big plot twist: we killed him.
Right, we killed him, he's going to come back. But here's the thing. What are you doing to the whole concept of sacrifice and, dying for someone else is the ultimate, sign of, heroism and all that sort of thing. Like, that is the hero. The one who
sacrifices
himself for others.
Right.
And that's what Dr. Fate does.
Exactly.
Dr. Fate 100,000,000% is like, I'm doing this myself. We've had discussions about stuff. We're friends, Hawkman. I'm going to do this. This is supposed to be emotional.
Yep.
And because I'm Pierce Brosnan, it is. And so he goes in there and he sacrifices himself. And the whole time I was like, but the villain just sacrificed himself in order to gain bad powers. How do you reconcile these two things? Dr. Fate dies and we win, but then the villain dies and he comes back. The whole thing, die to live on the crown.
He can't die and come back again, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess.
You kill him because
that's a good point.
You kill him in the final form. It was more of a metamorphosis, if you will, like a cocoon.
Even
the dude put on the crown and then died, or had it in his hand or whatever, while he was alive, from life to death, and then he died from death to life, and then he came back as Satan Boy.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could spin it another way.
It was more metamorphosis.
Dr. Fate accepts his fate as to die.
Right.
Because all men must die, right?
Well, and it's not so much he accepts his fate, he changes fate.
Well,
because
in a larger
plot
sense,
twist,
Hawkman was supposed to die. Yeah.
But, Dr. Fate was like, you've been such a good friend, I can't bear to witness such an atrocity. So he goes and sacrifices himself. That's the true sacrifice, not the sacrifice, quote unquote, of dying and to gain demon powers.
Why is the camera changed, you ask? Because our camera died. But we have to finish this up because we won't quit.
Stuff happens. So, getting into kind of, I would say probably one of our last subjects.
Yes.
It's the main over the course of the movie, the reflection of Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, as far as his becoming, his gaining of his power, right? So one of the main themes in the movie is he keeps going back and looking at this statue that the ancients constructed of him, right? That he always goes and looks at. Well, it turns out that was his son, right? Because his son was the boy who we talked about in the beginning, who did the whole Illuminati thing.
Mm-hmm.
His son, before he was executed, disappeared, right? And went before the Council of Wizards, gained his powers of Shazam, and came back as the champion. Well, at one point, it was Dwayne Johnson. They were under attack,
Right.
from assassins, and he was hurt, and his son was like, "Father, you need to be this champion, so you can bring justice or whatever." And he's like, "Say after I do," and they both say Shazam, and boom, powers transferred.
So yeah.
Right, but right after that happens, assassins kill his son,
And then
and
get revenge.
and he couldn't save his son, and so then he goes into revenge mode, because I mean they just killed a kid, and so that's where, and then he busts into the throne room,
Right.
and he kills everybody,
Wipes them out.
right, wipes them out, goes
And
nuclear.
that's why he gets buried for 1,000,000 years.
So yeah, so he wasn't in like sleep. He was in prison for, his crime or whatever. Because the wizards, the Council of Wizards, dubbed him unworthy of the power, and they locked him away. So that was them who did that.
Plot hole. They could have just taken his power away.
Yeah, they could have been like, Shano,
Yeah, Shano.
and taken away his power,
gosh.
but no. So there's that, right? And so often, so he would often, when he was, trying to grasp this new world he was in, he would go and look at this statue, of his boy, and what it stood for. At one point, towards the end, after the day had kind of been reconciled, he goes and sits on the throne of the ancient temple that's still built, and he sat on it, and the cheerwoman was like, "How does it feel?" And he gets up and he like disintegrates it, and he's like, feels wrong, or just wrong.
That scene felt a bit wrong to me. Just the way the music swelled as he sat on the throne, and he's like, "Nope."
Yeah, no.
Oh,
right.
the message is still there.
It was supposed to be like a
triumphant moment.
No, it was supposed to be like a gotcha moment. Like he's gonna be like the ruler, dude. Now, plot twist, breaks the throne. He's like, I'm not your dictator. I am your champion, right? And
which I guess he sort of gets to that mentality from his feeling of inferiority, because he says throughout the film, "I'm not a hero." He says, and we don't know exactly why he keeps saying that. Like, I'm not your leader. I'm not your protector or whatever.
Right.
And,
your champion.
Not your champion. I can't think of the word
champion.
I'm not your champion. We don't know exactly why he keeps thinking that until that twist. With the son.
So and it's when he finally decides to surrender to Hawkman, he comes clean to him, as far as he's like that statue. He's like, that's not of me, that's my boy. And they have this whole kind of serious heart to heart, in a sense. He basically kind of fills him in on why he is the way he is. So then he says the word, he says Shazam, and he goes powerless. Gets locked away by basically Amanda Waller's team under this ice bunker in the poles. They go. The Justice Society goes back to fighting, the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
That's not working. Dr. Fate reaches out and he's like, "I know you're good." And he's like, "We do need you. You can do this, and you can be our champion. You can be good."
Fate.
And so then he jail sprung him, and Dwayne Johnson then like floated up to the surface after kind of escaping. And then he had flashbacks to, it was almost like a purgatory moment where he was kind of like with his family, and his boy was there, and he's like, "You can do this. You can be better. You can help them win." and he's like, it is not your time. Say the word. And so then he, wakes up, and he's like Shazam, and then he powers back up, right? And then from then, he's better, right? And then that was, and so then he goes and he helps defeat the villain, which he does pretty quickly, quite honestly. He
right, which
him
you would
really
want
quick.
to happen.
Right, yeah, you did not want that to be some big, long, dragged-out battle scene. That would have been painful.
Yes.
So he dispatches villain very quickly, makes friends with the Justice Society pretty much as far as like, hey, may work again with you in the future, shook some hands, and then he was like, I'm going to protect this city.
So yeah, to wrap it all up, I will say that talking about the movie, I think, works better in our heads than the movie itself. Yeah. I think there's a lot of elements you brought up. There's a lot of like sort of parallel things, the sacrifice of the son sort of, coinciding and in flashback with the sacrifice of Dr. Fate and all this sort of thing. There's stuff in it that kind of works, and when you explain it the way you did, you can see how, there are traces of good character development to
some extent.
To some extent, and it works in favor of Black Adam being the main character, even though we kind of had trouble with that. But I think on the whole, I think what we didn't make very clear is just it was clunkily done.
No, it was definitely very clunky. Majority of it was.
Yeah, we talk about dialogue and all that sort of thing.
There's just no getting away from it. It was a very clunky, just jarring movie.
It had great elements.
All
around.
Great CGI.
So much of it didn't click.
It just didn't hit the mark where it meant to.
Didn't click together.
Right, and it just and another dynamic I'll bring up right quick, because so the whole he had his son, way back when Black Adam had a son, and so he almost kind of took on the kid in modern day as kind of that void, because he started to protect him more and started to be like prioritize him in a sense. It was kind of like
he was a bit of a Sentinel kind of character.
So he was Sentinel-like, but again, if they wouldn't have had those joking elements in there and they had him as like the guardian angel type, would have worked 10 times better. It would have hit that mark.
Play Black Adam straight at the very least,
Yeah.
You can give all the other guys some lame jokes, but play him straight if you're gonna play him at all.
So yeah, but in all, I'd give if whether the movie was a Shazam or a Shinope, it was a Shamaybe.
Yeah, and I will agree with that, because there was enough good stuff to make it interesting, but as a movie-going experience, it just felt underwhelming.
Underwhelming, jarred.
Yeah.
You left the theater with like plot holes in mind.
Yeah. None of the stuff we talked about really like came to a forefront in your mind, and none of it really like stuck with you and that sort of thing. You really got to like dig through it to find it,
Exactly.
and that's not great.
No.
So
this has been.
It was so.
I mean, you should watch it at least once, but then is it something you're gonna be sitting down and watching once a month, being like, guys, you gotta watch this movie, or this
I'll only watch it for Hawkman and Dr. Fate.
It's not it. So okay. Well, alrighty, folks.
We're finally done.
This is it.
If you made it this far, you're a stupid, crazy idiot.
Join us next time on Shazam or Shinope, where we will beat another movie dead with thoughts.
So dead.
Just pulverize it.